In today's featured matchup, presented by Mercedes-Benz, we have the uncrowned kings of the LPL facing off against a team that has denied them the world title before. This is a deep and old rivalry that goes back to 2014 when Gen.G was Samsung White and RNG was Starhorn Royal Club. But although the names have changed, the bitterness over that loss has not.
Through and Samsung White are on towards the Nexus turret. Look at the damage that they have there. The first Nexus turret is going to fall. Only Lulu really there to stop them. The second Nexus turret falls.
RNG, an organization beloved by all LPL fans, have had Ming and Xiaohu as part of their roster throughout all their highs and lows. And this could be the time for them to finally win the championship they have coveted for so long.
Chovy looking to be the difference maker. Xiaohu now taken down, but no, GALA! Monster damage from the Graves and the Aphelios. RNG slaughter Gen.G in the fight.
For Gen.G, they are here to prove that even with new members and new names, they are still the kings of the Rift and are not to be taken lightly.
Chovy getting knocked back into it might be enough. They find it someday. Getting the reset on one at least. Chovy potentially in trouble, but someday no. They just got nothing left. Ruler, one more tower shot. Ruler.
This is another battle between the LPL and LCK Giants that will decide the final outcome of this group. Who will come out on top?
Welcome back, everybody, to the final day of the World's Group Stage and our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. Gen.G versus RNG, a battle that will ultimately decide the destiny of both teams coming out of these groups. If RNG wins here, they take first, straight up. If Gen.G win, we tie-break, baby. And you know what? Since my loyalties lie just with the best League of Legends, I would love to see 2 games between these teams. But of course, maybe it does not happen. But one thing is for sure, Raz, definitively. I mean, that's even not a strong enough word. The strongest teams in this group by a large margin.
Yes, by a large amount. And so the competition here is going to be great. I just know that we're going to see Gen.G level it up. I know there's been a lot of conversation about the draft the last time they played.
Yeah.
We heard it from the casters just earlier today, and now I know the players have been thinking about it. There's certainly going to be adaptations for Gen.G to make this more competitive.
Remind us, what was the draft like from Gen.G and why did you not like it?
It was blind, Senna, and Singed. And it gave Ruler no agency, and the fact that the Singed early on doesn't really do anything meant that RNG got a really good punish in with an early invade, and they snowballed that to a really big lead.
And the Singed is something that they have actually played a lot, but we were talking about this in the green room. It's something that they use as a specific counter to Yuumi, right?
Yeah.
You know, not just as a blind pick. And I do think that they were trying to really showcase that they could get something done with it, but they weren't able to.
It didn't work out, and as a result, Wei got all the room in the world, is able to force the early flash here on Chovy, and that already creates so much space for Xiaohu down the line.
Yeah, it felt like Wei ran this game. Like, he just took it over.
Yeah.
There were times where you saw Ruler rotating towards the bot side of the map to get back into lane, and then Wei was just sitting there waiting to kill him. And so this was another dive. They were active this game.
Well, and to me, this is RNG at their best. When you actually get Prio through mid, Xiaohu moves around the map with Wei, with Ming. They are such a deadly roaming team. When they're affecting those side lanes, they are really, really tough to beat.
So is it just about Gen.G then to give them a chance here, change their draft? It's probably not that simple.
It's not that simple. The team fights were also just really difficult to deal with because even though theoretically, you see the Azir is like, okay, you have answers with your ulti if they ever look to dive with that composition. But Chovy got blown up in a lot of those Drake fights. It felt like RNG, when they chose to fight with that trigger with the Leona ultimate, the entire team went in at the same time. And so they just have to be on point when it comes to team fighting with the best of them.
Let's talk about the mid lane matchup. Xiaohu versus Chovy, as we saw it last time around. We want this to go a little bit more even, right, this time around?
And I expect that it will. I think that the draft really kind of threw a spanner in the works for that game. And it's the coolest thing to me is how these two laners have had, Chovy's changed a little bit, but previously had polar opposites in how they approach laning. Because Xiaohu, the best Xiaohu looks is when he's not in lane. When he's out on the map, when he's making moves, when he's playing, as was mentioned earlier, together with either Ming or with Wei. Whereas for Chovy, his excellence has and always will be laning, but he's recently tried to move away from just focusing on laning, having more of an impact on the map.
Yeah, I feel like Chovy having that different dynamic, especially with the strong players like Pina, is going to be and Ruler is going to be the next stage. Because for Xiaohu, we saw earlier today his Akali game just wreak havoc. And then in that game, Xiaohu went for a Lissandra game, and he just really was oppressive. There was that one fight around topside river, where he got a great Lissandra ulti, stopwatch, bought time for his team to really take over in that team fight.
And I love how, of course, the mid lane matchup isn't ever in isolation, but I love that the stories mirror each other of someone who is so adept at playing the map and the macro in Xiaohu, who then sometimes also pulls out a fantastic lane, and a Chovy who is known far and wide for how strong he is in lane, now trying to dive into that toolbox to also make his macro play more impactful, right? And it's so interesting that we'll see them facing off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when you have that juxtaposition, when you have these opposing styles, you know, it's really, really fun because, you know, they really kind of work against each other in a lot of ways, right? If Chovy's able to dominate the lane hard enough, well, then Xiaohu can't really roam. He can't actually get out on the map. So that's where it becomes important. As you say, it's a team game. For jungle to affect mid lane, for support to affect mid lane, to try to unlock Xiaohu, you know, because getting that prio in mid is really the key to affecting the map.
And I want to go back to what we talked about in terms of draft, and that's that bot lane. Because we saw in the previous game how important it is not only for RNG with GALA. I think you had, you checked out how many damage he
So I think this number I was given was it was incorrect, but it was an astounding amount. I mean, it looked like he just eyeballing it did over half of his team's damage.
Yeah, so an insane amount of damage. And we also saw that if Gen.G can actually generate leads through bot, then that's when everything clicks. Peanut gets way more space to make plays around the map, and then Chovy can actually turn his laning dominance into something worthwhile. Yeah,
and even though in the earlier interview from Gen.G, like the question that was asked about Lucian and Nami and like how powerful that was, and I feel like he didn't want to give too much of a strong answer, but we're seeing it really be just taking over this group.
I mean, both of these guys just had monster Lucian games back and forth, right? And you have to wonder how high the priority is going to be for it. Are people actually willing to give it over as a bait and then try to counterpick it? Or is it just going to be like first pick Lucian?
And I feel like we were robbed of this 2v2 matchup last time we saw it, just because of the Senna singed bot lane that didn't play to the strengths, I feel like, but also understandably, maybe they just want to see if they can win with it. It's not going to be the case this time around, though, I feel.
Yeah, and this was really earlier today going up against the 100 Thieves, just absolutely dominating FBI and Huhi, 22 like CS defeat at 8 minutes into the game. And they just played around him, because once you start snowballing in it, you really just don't stop. And so it's nice to be able to recognize that while also remembering what just happened to the Flying Oysters last game, as you're talking about, with GALA just destroying Atlan.
So correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm getting from this is that we're looking a lot at this bot lane to be a lot more competitive out of Gen.G. I feel like when we talk about Gen.G and their win conditions, we often talk about Chovy. We often talk about the bot lane and Peanut facilitating. Is it correct to say that on RNG, you at any given game, you can see anyone being able to carry the game and more often than not?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because I think that RNG and Gen.G actually have a lot of similarities in that they work the best when everyone on the team is fulfilling a specific job. I think with, for example, T1, we've seen them really relying on individual players. Sometimes it's Zeus, sometimes it's FLICKR, sometimes it's Guma. But these two teams both work the best when they get to do what they want to do on the map. And I think last time Gen.G didn't get to at all. And then we saw how quickly RNG dispatched of them.
Absolutely, and I think once one of these marksman players gets ahead, they snowball the game so incredibly well. So I did get the correction on the stats. It was 55.8% of his team's damage there for GALA, which is a world's record for this year. The highest percentage of anyone there, so absolutely insane. And we were kind of having this conversation about Lucian, and it's like, okay, so is it actually an early game champion? Is it more of like a one-item spiking champion? And we're almost kind of coming to the conclusion that it just kind of feels more like Lee Sin, where it's like one of those champions that scales with skill. If you're good enough at it, it really doesn't have a point in the game where it's hard falling off. And it's just, can you pilot it to that level?
It's literally, I think it's just level 1. That's like the only point where it's weak. And I'm not even kidding, because after
Before
that,
he buys his Doran's play, it's really weak.
But it actually is. And outside of that, as we pointed out, and we've seen this from both GALA and Ruler, laning phase, when played well, can be oppressive. Mid-game, when you get any assassination, especially if you get an early rapid-fire cannon, becomes so hard for anyone to move around the map, and you can continuously poke and chunk out people, so you can't contest for any objective.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fun lane to look at. I think that everyone's going to... I wonder if that's... even the Lucian's going to be given away or if it's going to be banned. For me, it's a focus on Graves a little bit, because especially with how Peanut today has really taken over on that one. The last time they faced off, that was Waze Graves that was just pummeling them. They've kind of tunneled in as being strong carries. I remember in week 1, the counter to it, or at least what junglers were playing into Graves with the Viego, but Viego played into it today has not been working out. Especially, it feels like you really need to be on the same page as a team working against the Graves. So it feels like the junglers have been
Well, and it's kind of just like the next evolution of pick and ban, right?
Yeah.
You know, we saw at the start of groups, it's like, oh my God, if you let Maokai through, you're trolling.
done.
And now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
oh, well, if you let Caitlyn through, you're trolling. Now it's kind of like, okay, well, what about Graves? What about Yuumi? What about Lucian Nami? What about all these other picks? Have they risen enough in priority that they're knocking down some of these other must bans that we've seen, which then everything has changed?
And the balance of, okay, I really want to get first here, but how much do I want to show? And it's so interesting to see. That's why I'm so excited for this matchup. And it's also why I've asked for your predictions, which I haven't yet today. So, Raz, kick us off.
I feel like I'm starting to get some faith in RNG.
Oh,
Coming into the tournament, I had Gen.G as one of the tournament favorites. Clearly, everyone did. But RNG with this meta has been standout. I think they'll take it to 2-0 in this group.
Yeah, it's Gen.G. Of course I'm going to be
Oh,
surprised.
okay.
Is anyone going to be surprised? I think Gen.G have already shown that they've adapted their pick and ban, and I think if this team actually has a bot lane, they're quite good. So I think that they will have one this time around, and then it won't be a stomp. And I have complete faith in them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that RNG is looking incredibly good. You know, they're 5-0 right now.
I'm
no
sensing a
LPL
butt.
team has ever gone 6-0 in the groups, and they're not going to start today because I think Gen.G are going to win it. Gen.G, I think, are just looking on a different level today. I think when they are playing at their best, you know, they're too much of a complete team. I do think that they can challenge RNG in the early stages, and I think that Gen.G, from what I've seen throughout the year, have a more complete mid and late game. They set up their objectives better. They advance the state of the game better, and I think that's where RNG is really going to struggle.
Team fights are going to be fun. I felt like RNG is just right now the strongest team fighting team in the group. I want to see if Gen.G can match that.
I love that you called back to the 6-0 for an LPL team, of course, in groups, and if it's going to happen or
like
not.
that.
But if it's up to these two gentlemen, we'll see 2 more games. So as we ready up
Rest.
for this clash of League Titans, we're tossing it over to Chovy and Atlas.
Thank you so much, Sharks, and everyone on the desk. It's time for the big matchup between both Gen.G and RNG. What we've been waiting for. And will it be a repeat of JDG Damwon, where we managed to get the best of 3 at the end, Kobe? Or will we have our first undefeated team in the World's Group Stage?
I am very excited for this one. I'm going to go with Team Raz because it's 2v1, and I like underdogs. I'm always on the underdog side.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going
a
to go
good
with
call.
Raz. I just hope we don't get another blind pick singed Senna bottom lane like Gen.G did last time. I feel like that was just like a throwaway game. The analyst has touched on it. But like that game, the last time these two teams played was just a monster bot diff because GALA got to play Aphelios and got super fed, smashed them because they thought they could blind pick the singed Senna into them and got massively punished. So
I actually
really hoping
heard
for
some
even
rumors.
ground this time.
I heard some rumors about that particular game and that particular duo, that apparently in scrims they'd been dominating people with it or something like that.
Who was it? Who tricked them?
Well, I do remember the team, but I don't think that the scrim meta is necessarily something that we should hold too much stock in, and unfortunately for Gen.G they did, and therefore they were punished by not putting ruler on anything with any agency.
One thing that would be cool with the focus on the Lucian Nami now would be if Gen.G do give up the Yuumi, and then you get an early pick on Yuumi, and then you would get that counter pick lane from RNG.
I mean,
RNG are on blue side, so they would have to first pick it.
This is what I'm thinking, Kobe. So there are some really cool lines when it comes to the draft, and I actually asked you off camera a little while ago is whether the Yuumi was going to be banned at all, and the answer is absolutely, and it's going to be RNG banning it on the blue side to try and mitigate that weird singed flex.
Yeah, because I feel like Gen.G are the team with the most Yuumi counters for bottom lane. So
they have they've beaten the lane with Yasuo Sejuani and the singed lane as well with a few different other choices. Samira Singed was, I believe, the first time that they busted it out. The Nami is actually what's going to be banned here, and there is Breathed Fiora. So there are so many things left up and available right now.
The last AD carry ego battles did have an effect on the champ select. The Nami banned out, so breaking the Lucian Nami pairing then puts so much more focus on the other power picks. Yes, Graves is left up, but also look at the mid laner here. Azir, premier champion, been left up for both of them.
I mean, Azir is there, but Akali is available that Xiaohu just was amazing on. Chovy, of course, can play it as well. There is every single mid lane champion still left up, but the Maokai is going to be the priority pick. Sejuani I'm expecting to come through for either Doran and Peanut just because it has been such high priority. But what else? Is it going to be Chovy back on the Azir once again? Because we know he's not a huge fan of playing
He's not a huge fan, but he does like winning it with it.
Yes.
So he's happy with the winning. Here we go, the Aphelios. This was the one that was going to be prized after the Lucian Nami has been broken, after the Yuumi has been banned out. Both of these AD carries have over a 70% win rate on Aphelios. 70 and 71% win rates for GALA and Ruler, with it being their top 2 most played as well.
GALA thinking about the Draven. Not necessarily as much of a hard counter as into some other champs, but
Blinking.
will
We get the skill matchup. I love these ones because in the early stages, well, pre-6, definitely flip there for Sylas. Then once you get 6, Akali starts to take over. But then when Sylas gets a couple of items, then Sylas starts to retake over. It's so fun to go back and forth. Akali does have a large stretch where you can look for those all-ins, those assassinations, the perfect execution, but it also depends on what are the other ultimates that Sylas can steal. And whenever you see Maokai on the opponent team, it is a huge value. That is just such a giant team fight changing ultimate to be able to steal. Chovy likes those odds.
Yeah, another one of those ultimates is going to be the Buster Shot. As Tristana is locked away, Renata picked up for Lehends. This has been a lane that they've been very dominant with in the past. Renata taking a few hits though, not with quite the health bar that she used to have. So probably going to have to use those bans to protect the bottom lane a little.
Yeah, we've been seeing so much Aphelios Renata or Aphelios Thresh, the 2 premier here. So now we're going to be looking at banning away Graves from the jungle. No power clear here. Premier jungle champ, way too much priority. Will they spread and actually ban out any engage support for the Tristana? Because you see the Tristana lane and you think kill lane. You think GALA wants to go super aggressive there with Ming. The only problem is Tristana can have a lot of engaged partners to go in on the Aphelios Renata with, so it's kind of pick your poison with Ming. The Nautilus definitely would be the first one that jumps to mind, though.
Yep, absolutely. The Graves ban on Gen.G's side is kind of curious, just because Peanut, he has the first choice, right? And there has been no jungle locked in, so they could have gone for it. Doesn't feel like the onus was necessarily on Gen.G for that one, but now let's see what they ban in afterwards. Rel to be taken away, the sort of classic lane with the Tristana.
And we could see Doran go with the Ornn answer into the Maokai. Ornn has done so well in these tank-to-tank matchups up there.
Or in every matchup, is what it felt like.
Yeah, in a lot of the matchups, but especially since they already see the Maokai. We've had most of the Ornns win that 1v1 lane, plus then it gives you that huge team fight for Gen.G.
There's the Poppy ban away from Peanut. That might have been what he was thinking about. And certainly one of the champions that he's been very good at. There is the Renekton. Few eyebrows being raised, mine included. We'll see how Doran's going to do on the blind pick Croc.
Slams it down. Okay, so they banned out the Rel partner for Tristana for that big combo with the AoE ultimate suck-in.
I actually really like Tombush at this point.
I would say keep him benched.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it with the Tristana in this position, but I actually feel like it should be played a little bit more.
I would say stay on the bench when you're looking at like the AoE engages of the Renata and like a stolen Maokai ultimate. Gangplank picked up here though, so Maokai gonna be rotated to support for RNG. They use the flex.
Ooh.
The Maokai
could still be jungle, couldn't it?
It could be jungle. I like as support, you know, W in, get the guaranteed engage.
Love it. I don't want to get too excited just yet, but I think that could be exactly where it should have gone. But that's a Blitzcrank. This one could be good. This one could be good.
I like that more, baby. Blitzcrank pulls. Can we get Ming, the God Hand?
Oh my goodness. All right, so a very frightening time. We mentioned that Renata got nerfed, doesn't have as much of a health bar. Well, now she has to contend with the Blitzcrank. Lehends, what are you locking away now for Peanut? Certainly a bunch of different options here. No real true tanks outside of the Maokai, but he's still going to consider the Trundle.
Oh, this is so fun for RNG. Bottom lane, tremendous kill pressure. You slam a Gangplank ultimate on top of a Blitz Tristana lane. There's so much volatility, so much kill pressure there, and Maokai coming through with the guaranteed ganks to lock people up. This is a tremendous bottom lane focus here for RNG. This group had been shaping up with AD carry egos with the last 2 games heading into it, an RNG draft for that bottom side of the map.
Yeah, there's actually ridiculous amounts of skill expression actually on both sides, right? You can interrupt things like rocket jump if you manage to cast your pillar at exactly the right time, but the buffering of it can also help you get out of there if you're on the GALA side of the matchup. Certainly some really, really cool things that could happen on both sides of the rift here, but I have a feeling that RNG got exactly what they wanted out of this draft. I love Gangplank at this point in at Worlds. We've seen Zeus most recently have an extraordinarily good game on the champion, and we'll see whether the Crocodile is going to be able to find a win here.
Yeah, I really like, RNG used the full flexibility of Maokai. They're like, is it top? Is it jungle? Is it support? No, 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 no. All the way down to the end, and you finally reveal. They get the kill lane, bottom lane, they put him into the jungle, and Renekton Trundle does not have great dive opportunities on this Gangplank, so I think RNG are very, very happy with the stages.
Yeah, we'll see how well Gen.G will navigate the early game against RNG here, because I feel like as this game goes on, RNG's composition is going to be so scary. Onto the rift we go for what could be the final game of the day. We have to remind you, Gen.G can bring this to a tiebreaker. And you can hear New York getting behind RNG, the MSI champions. They still have to take down the LCK's first seed to be able to confirm that top spot in this group. All right, but remember, Prime Gaming is giving away 150,000 RP to several lucky fans every single day of Worlds. Make sure you head over to primegamingworlds22.com to enter and make sure you put in today's secret code to get bonus entries. And also, remember that the draw show will be right after our last game, be it a tiebreaker or this game right now. So make sure you stick around for that one and see who's going to be going where in the quarterfinals.
Ming's ultimate on the Blitzcrank also going to be huge this game for completing the combos if he's able to land the picks. Looks like we're going to get a delayed invade with the sweeper on Renata. They're actually bringing full 4 here. Control ward placed, sweeper saved till they get Peanut all the way up into the red buff. Then they pop the sweeper, take it away without any confrontation. They did put a question mark thing because they saw Chovy come back through the river. So they know there's a possibility here on the RNG side, but they don't have accurate information quite yet. And now they see it. Once the bottom lane enters right back from Tribush, they're aware.
Yep. Going to be straight to Raptors as well. So bottom side clear. Could just have vertical jungling coming through. Certainly works out for the Gen.G bottom laner. Xiaohu's coming around. We'll give you some popcorn chicken.
I do think it's very necessary for Gen.G. You know, they're trying to dissuade Maokai ganks towards bottom side, because if you add in a point-and-click W route to the...
Oh, the chains are going to miss. Xiaohu gets into his shroud, and Peanut just drive-by.
Yeah, Akali, very, very difficult to gank. Xiaohu with the shroud second there. If you do add in the Maokai ganks early on, that's where it gets out of hand. So smart late invade from Gen.G to protect their bottom lane, at least for the first few levels there. And they left behind 2 control wards here in the jungle to make sure that they're going to be able to keep track of Maokai. First one gets cleared out here on Raptors as Ruler and Lehends are getting pushed in under turrets. Not going to expose themselves to anything as they know the traverse has been completed. And Wei picks up both control wards back to back. Actually pretty efficient clear for him.
You can see Peanut actually going to give up on his Raptor camp. Wants to be able to find his way into the jungle before Wei can come over. There's the pillar down. Traditional Trundle, definitely my personal favorite of the options right now. You know, it's actually the pillar of filth of old. As Wei, he's coming in. See whether the tree is going to be able to win out on this one. Does get some vision down.
He has the smite advantage. Just needs to get it down to 450. Peanut helps him a little.
Oh, the early smite. You hate to see it, but still, he may not be out of the woods just yet. As Wei... Oh no, it's a big mistake for RNG, but first blood goes to Ruler of all people.
Wait, what are you doing? He does not check the scoreboard. He does not know. Peanut there, able to get it. Wei thought he had the combo on the blue buff to be able to get it, so he went with the combo there to try and burst it.
Oh, Chovy back from base. Xiaohu still with teleport, so just trying to get a few minions.
and Atlas.
Yeah.
That first blood money goes right where RNG did not want it to go, into the hands of Ruler, the Aphelios.
For the RNG fans here, let me remind you what happened the previous game.
Okay, take me
The
back.
opposite AD carry got first blood. Do you know what happened? GALA only died one time that game, and here is the hook onto Lehends. It is a very dangerous time. He does get the bailout though, and he is able to keep himself alive. Wait, once again, this time having to flash for his life. Oh my goodness, Lehends, you are playing with death, and it does not arrive.
Gen.G won another game here in group stage. They're not going to let RNG walk to that first seed. They're going to make them fight for it. Doran on top side, those going down.
Oh dear, that ain't it. Bree's going to be able to pick up the solo kill. Peanut not stopping here on the bottom side is now away. Does Twisted advance, tries to avoid the damage, but Ruler says no. I'm going to pick that one up, and now Peanut walks away with about 120 health. He'll be absolutely fine. Gen.G 4-1 in the kill score, but that top lane could be a problem.
Yeah, Breeze trying to fight back for RNG. Look at that. He breathes hope back into the crowd as they alight with the chance, but it's just domination on the bottom side for Gen.G. This is a massive, massive, massive bottom lane lead here for specifically Ruler on Aphelios, and he still has his flash to work with as well. What a timing here as Peanut runs down the lane, tracking with Wei, answers it. Lehends puts off his bailout right there. He finishes off the kill onto GALA as well to get right back up, and then they chase down Ming as well. He walks into him with the bone plating there as well, and they get the extra kill. Peanut taking that one. Then the 1-on-1 though. Breeze feeling like he's got to do something for the team to get back into it. Barrel chain right onto Doran and burns him right down.
Just insane that Lehends was able to, he had 100 health while he just walked Ming down the lane. I was sure that he was likely to get sniped out, but nope, just knowing his limits there. Here on this top side though, this is definitely the point of power for RNG. Unfortunately for them though, it's just not that relevant at this stage of the game. That's going to mean that Gen.G should be able to get this first dragon. And Ming on the rotation. Gonna try and lock something down. Right now though, Gen.G, they understand something's up. There's the Hex Splash to come through from Ming, but he realizes that there are a lot of Chovy's friends making their way over. Decides that he doesn't want to go for the aggressive play, and Wei is just being bullied in his own jungle. Is Maokai not quite able to get off the ground just yet after that initial fumble? Still will be relevant, right? You've got a ridiculous kit on that champion, and so should still be able to set up for his team. As Doran going to be discovering Breed here, actually deciding that he wants to slice over, has a blast cone to get himself out.
Yeah, try and whittle down on those jungle ganks, but the junglers are both bottom side right now. Good job from Gen.G. You know, Peanut says, hey, you're super fed now. Ruler, come help me leverage your advantage to steal away the red buff. And then he comes for another counter gank here. Just hovering on the outside in Fog of War.
Well, Ming's gonna get another hook, but Peanut is here. Ruler made himself tasty, but he might just be taking down another bailout. Comes in, but this time he's not able to get there because the cannons are raining from the sky, and Breathe gets his second.
Breathe is the hero of RNG. We talked about it in draft. That Gangplank ultimate comes in. They don't get the bailout this time around. RNG make good on that hook.
That was brilliant. I think RNG knew that Peanut might be waiting in the wings, so they just 1-2 punch against Gen.G here as Doran underneath the turret. Needs to be a little careful.
It's complete brute force, but that's why we highlight it so heavily in Champ Select, why it is just a giant blinking arrow towards bottom side of the map for RNG. The thing is, Breathe is also making it happen in his own lane with the solo kill, so he takes care of his own lane first. Ming hits him with the hook into the guaranteed Maokai route, and with the Gangplank ultimate on the top, Lehends and Peanut can't go any further. They can't help Ruler try and bail himself out there, so he just goes down.
Really nicely played for RNG to have the answer to what Gen.G were going for there. Wei now thinking about grabbing this Rift Herald. Should be able to do so. No members of Gen.G in the area. A little bit late for Chovy to turn up. Peanut was fresh off a reset, so this should just go over So a big momentum shift back towards RNG. Despite not having a gold advantage, it certainly feels like the game is moving towards their position.
I'm so happy for Breathe to get the spotlight as well. I feel like so often they didn't send as many resources throughout the year towards Breathe as they possibly could have. But he's such a great carry player too, doing whatever the team needs. Taking care of his own lane, ultimate towards bottom side. 50% left on that cooldown.
Yeah, then we'll be able to assist potentially GALA and Ming, as now Buster Shot has to be used by GALA here as Ruler comes down with his Calibrum. Bit of damage there, but the Tristana will be absolutely fine. But still, without the ultimate, not going to have that defensive choice. Still with Cleanse and Flash, so yeah, should be fine.
I want to see too the choice because you can bring the Rift Herald towards bottom side to continue to snowball this Tristana. You know, a Rift Herald plus a Tristana explosive shot, if you're able to gank and get all the way up to the turret, you can just blow that turret up very quickly. Try and get your first turret bonus, bunch of tower plate gold. But there is also something to be said for getting the Akali to have a spike. If you get Xiaohu, the Rift Herald towards mid lane, on you know, ultimate timer here for him, can try and go for some of these power plays versus Chovy, versus that Sylas before any of the completed items do come in. Peanut, though, focusing towards this bottom lane.
Yeah, way in the area as well. As Peanut clears out some wards, and they get the shove in. So Gen.G looking for a bit of a reset here bottom lane. Peanut just clearing out wards, getting vision down where he can as well, as Ruler does have the most gold in the game, but Breathe is very close behind him. Certainly feels like the Gangplank is going to be a big answer here for RNG. You already highlighted how important it was in the draft. Does have his Trinity Force already completed. It's really feeling like we're sitting on a knife's edge. And what I want is just the most League of Legends today. So I am a little bit Gen.G biased for this game.
Well, this game is also currently itself Gen.G biased. They are very happy with the opening to it. Magnificent start on bottom side.
Ooh, chains are going to come through here as Chovy steals away the perfect execution, but very scary stuff. Xiaohu does a lot of work.
Yeah. With Lehends there, Xiaohu knows no longer fair 1v1 in mid lane versus Sylas. The bailout would have come through, so backs right off. And it's gonna now be a Chovy advantage. Chovy has the stolen perfect execution, so that means RNG immediately say, hey, jungle support.
Oh, Moonlight Vigil is going to be sidestepped there by GALA really nicely. He does still have to flash as the pillar comes down. Now Gen.G looking for a little bit more RNG. Cavalry arriving.
God, you can see the communication in the timing windows here. After the 1v1 towards mid, immediate call for jungle. Hey, help me push out here because Chovy's going to teleport back with the ultimate advantage. And then Gen.G take advantage of both jungle and mid being mid to get the flash out of GALA. No summoners at all for GALA now as Peanut goes for the second red steal.
Yeah, Wei going to move on over. Xiaohu does have the ability to move on in here, and Wei is actually going to secure it. Nicely done by the Maokai as Doran going to flash on top of Breathe. The turret helps out for one shot, but I don't know whether you're going to survive this one, Mr. Crocodile, as Doran needs to go through the cannon barrage, and he will survive. Oh, it's real dicey up there, Kobe.
It certainly is.
And slicey, I guess, for Renekton.
Breathe definitely giving a lot of pause here. Corrupting Potion with the ultimate ticking there. Almost enough to get it, but not quite. It does allow Dragon number 2 pickup for Gen.G, and now they're chasing Ming.
Yeah, Ruler going to walk past the turret here. I think Ming is going to have to flash, and he does so. Buster Shot used there as well from GALA just to make sure that his support stays alive. He's now channeling the back, and Gen.G will still get control of this bottom lane. But meanwhile, in the top lane, things are an absolute disaster for Doran.
They certainly are, and they're going to get worse. Rift Herald charge number 2, and they're going for 2 turrets. This thing is worth 800 gold for the whole team. They get it there.
Oh, and the hook is going to connect. Lehends is going to be silenced, and they're not going to be able to bail him out this time. Oh! It's absolutely fantastic, but it's a bit late. Peanut flashes forward, picks up that kill in answer, and now Ruler to try and get that damage through. The flash from Xiaohu. He wants to find more. It's red-white guns, though, for this Aphelios. He is very scary. The hook barely grazes Ruler's behind, and he will be able to walk his way out.
Oh my goodness! They win the topside play, getting the secondary tower just as Ming pulls him in. They only get the heal out of Ruler, though. What an exciting dive we have exploding here, causing both RNG solo laners to TP in, and Xiaohu even flashing forward to try and get more out of it.
The thing is, that was a huge win for RNG. They pick up the top lane out of turret, they pick up the inner as well, and now we have a dead even gold game when Gen.G did have a bit more. However, Gen.G 2 dragons to their name, and we'll see whether they can get towards that soul point as we have a look at this fight one more time.
Yeah, so Ming finds the hook onto Lehends, into the silence here. Then Lehends, though, since the silence was pretty early, still got his bailout to buy some time. Peanut answering the 1-for-1 with his flash bite onto GALA. Xiaohu then goes for the flash play to try and get the extra kill here onto Peanut, into Shroud to get his energy back, but he knows once that one misses, no problem there. Ming trying to fish for another hook, can't quite get it, and with Ruler there, can't go for the extra kill.
I actually really like that Ming holds onto that hook until Breathe arrives, because that would have confirmed that kill onto Ruler if it had have landed. So incredibly close. Now, Gen.G, can they fight for this one? As Peanut has dived into the Herald pit. Xiaohu's here, and yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Peanut to survive this one. 5-point strike comes in. He puts down the pillar, though, and the rest of his team have now arrived. Cannon barrage comes through, but the protection is there. Peanut will live. Can they win the rest of the fight, though? The hostile takeover is fantastic. GALA, he rocket jumps, but can he live? It looks like the answer is no, as it's a double kill for Chovy.
And it's huge for Gen.G. They're going to get the Rift Herald as well. The adventures of Peanut. He gets back to his own team, running towards Lehends' open arms. He gets there, and Gen.G committing to this play for Rift Herald number 2 on top side with everybody. They get the extra kills, they get the objective. Yes, Breathe does get the bottom turret in payment, but Gen.G are swimming in money now.
They certainly are. Plenty of standing gold on the map here as well, because of course, RNG are the ones that have picked up the majority of the turrets. But let's have a look at this again.
Yeah, and it's because, look at the mini-map right now. Gen.G are bringing 5 to this play, whereas Breathe powering towards bottom to try and push. And since they go to the other side here, RNG trying to pinch Peanut, he just runs back to the rest of his team. Gangplank ultimates here to slow them down, and Ming was fishing for the hook onto Peanut, but he does not grab Peanut, and then he gets caught in Lehends' ultimate there. The Berserk wraps him up, enough damage down onto GALA. He's so far behind on this Tristana. Chovy's able to chase him through. That was a very big power spike difference. During that play, he did not have the full Kraken, and it was Gale Force advantage for Ruler. Now it is turned into a couple of extra pieces here with the extra BF sword coming into play, and just in time for this next dragon, 50 seconds.
Yeah, that soul point as well available here for Gen.G. And Peanut looking to try and come with the rest of his team, pick up some vision control. Cannon Barrage going to be available very, very soon, and Buster Shot coming up off cooldown.
Wei is also not very tanky. He actually rushed for the poke build here for the demonic rush on the Maokai. So the little saplings are going to give that burn damage, and the ultimate comes through.
Chovy picking himself up the Blitzcrank ult as Lehends moves himself out of the way of the hook.
Yeah, rush on the Mikhails for Lehends. That cooldown is going to be significant, though.
Oh, Everfrost comes down. Chain Lash doesn't find the mark. Chovy wants to get in there and use that ult, but not going to be working out just yet.
Breathe is such a huge determining factor in if RNG have any say in this dragon. 2-item Gangplank right now. If Breathe can get any barrel chains, he could actually change the face of this fight, but it's all about clearing out the wards. A barrel chain from Brush is much, much more accurate than anything in vision of Gen.G. So Breathe gets 1 barrel in the Pixel Brush, trying to set himself up.
Yeah, because they managed to delay Chovy's back so many times, they've now been able to move in, claim some vision back. Gen.G with the southern side of this river under their control, but these saplings make things so, so difficult. Peanut just going to come through, look to start this one off. Here's the teleport to come in. Ruler with a decent amount of CC with the weapons that he has. Not the highest damage, though, as Xiaohu, he's teleported through as well. Fresh fight for both mid laners. This could be big. Ming coming on over as well. Okay, Chovy dives in, finds something, but it's just going to be a back away. The reset comes in as well. All right, will this just be a flip? Wei's looking to come on forward, but Ruler says absolutely not. Chovy gets into the hostile takeover, is massive. There's soul point for Gen.G, but Xiaohu is trying to win the fight. Ruler stays alive, and it's Doran that picks up the kill.
Massive engage from Lehends with the ult ultimate coming through. He flashes it forward, catches them all. Xiaohu almost pulling out the heroics to take down Ruler, but he doesn't even flinch. No flash blown from Ruler, no heal blown from Ruler. Gen.G stand tall. They get themselves to soul point, taking the dragon, taking the kill as well. And here's another look at it. On this top side, big explosion of damage from Ruler onto Wei there, and Lehends immediately follows it up, catches 3 with the Berserk. Nicely done there, leaving Xiaohu alone in the entire Gen.G team.
There's a lot of AoE damage done initially there as well, as Chovy did find that angle to come in. Shirley going to be taking down this outer turret in the mid lane. We mentioned standing gold. It means that Gen.G, with these advantages that they accrue, they can take a whole lot more, and that is the double charge. So Shelly and Shirley, both of them doing a fair bit of work here this game. RNG utilizing it to get 2 turrets, so we'll be ahead on that score.
Gen.G on the precipice of pushing us to a final tiebreaker at the end of this group. Dragon Soul is going to be the determining factor here. Everybody waiting, 3.5 minutes.
Yep, that's the timer. But we have to remember, you know, this is what happened between JDG and Damwon here as well. We want to get as many games as possible. And if we don't, it means that RNG, the only undefeated team to come out of the group stage as the 4th seed from the LPL. Of course, you know, not including play-ins, but Chovy pushing forward. Not going to be able to find too much, just finds a sapling. This way is a little bit frustrating.
And Ruler is very close to Bloodthirster here on the Aphelios as well. I think he's just about got it as he's going for his recall now. Would be a pretty big spike. 2 items to 1 in the AD carry department ever since that early play on bottom side. Gen.G with a massive lead over there. Can RNG get a pick though? They've got, again, Breathe, split pushing on the bottom side. The Gangplank so powerful here. Ultimate is ready. If you can get the side lane pressure and then ult someone just for the slow to set up Ming to try and get one of these Blitzcrank pulls. Peanut is a great target, Lehends is a great target. If you just Gangplank slow, ultimate on top of them, should mean a guaranteed hit for the Blitzcrank hook. There's no flash on either of them.
Yep. Certainly going to be an option, but this is that point in the game that gets a little bit awkward. When you're a little bit behind as a Blitzcrank, you just become kind of that one hook that could potentially change the game. But outside of that, harder for you to have as much of an impact.
Yeah. And especially because Blitzcrank is in that class of champions that's like Fiddlesticks, where you really rely on Fog of War.
Yeah.
If you've got a brush to play off of, if you have darkness to play off of, makes it so much more threatening. If they can set up around the Dragon Soul beforehand, get some control wards there, then you benefit so much. The barrel chains from the Gangplank and the hooks from the Blitzcrank. Gen.G not giving it to them, not giving them an inch as Lehends fights that Vision War, moving up their own control wards. They are not going to let any little bit of RNG control seep into this dragon ahead of time.
Oh, Ming going to get caught out just a little bit. The Chomp going to be used. That's about it, though. Going to find too much more. And you mentioned that Fog of War. RNG are able to win the battle of the brush that has been taking place for quite some time. And all of these saplings. We saw this. It was Pyoshik that really demonstrated the vision prowess that you can pick up with the Maokai. And it's something that Wei is emulating here as well.
Chovy,
Dangerous.
Chovy finishes up that top tower, splitting with the Sylas here. Should have a little bit of gold for himself to go. He actually has almost 2,000 gold to go back with. He needs to get his recall off now to be able to get to the dragon ahead of time. Spend that 2K gold.
Ming is very, very scary right now. Has Flash at the ready as well if they want to make a big play. You mentioned the power of Fog of War. He's using it. And RNG moving towards this Drake. 15 seconds for Soul to be available for Gen.G. And RNG, a chance to stop it, to buy some more time.
And look at this, Gen.G preparing for that vision game. This is what you like to see as a coach. All 5 control wards purchased.
I'm remembering Deficio's words in the back of my mind about these control wards. Need to make sure you pick them all up as Ruler slowed down momentarily. The barrel chain's not quite landing, and Peanut just gonna walk into that pit, start hitting the dragon. Ming not gonna get his hand shaken as Chovy trying to find his way in. Didn't even teleport, just went back to base and will now move on over. They pulled the dragon into the brush. Can they get the soul is the question. That's a big barrel to start this one off. Chovy now has a cannon barrage. Doran looking for that backline. Can they steal it? They can! Wei stops the soul, but can they win the fight? They've taken down the crocodile, but can they find more? The buster shot was massive in the Moonlight Vigil. It's its turn to do some damage. It's not quite that much, but the Gale Force forward will push Xiaohu away, but still, the heist is successful and RNG deny the Drake.
Breathe with some big barrel chains onto Peanut, makes him panic. Flashing into the backside, the Maokai ultimate, and Wei flashes forward, combos the dragon. There's so much extra damage on the Maokai Q now. He's able to get the combo. Smite steals it away. RNG hanging on here in this game. They avoid the Dragon Soul round 1. 5 minutes into the future, though, you get round 2. It doesn't get easier. It continues to repeat.
But as this game goes on, I feel like Breathe is just going to get more and more terrifying. Each one of these barrels.
Oh, yeah. That Infinity Edge.
More and more respect.
The barrels are already striking fear into the hearts of Gen.G fans. Next time around, once he finishes up an Infinity Edge, he's gonna do more than that. Xiaohu, though, sees the teleport. Rotation over for Gen.G, putting pressure on Baron. They've got control wards inside already, rushing it down.
Yeah, they're just gonna dive on into this pit. Ruler does have that crescendum available. They do so much damage to this Baron. Wei looking to make his way in. The pillar is going to deny. Not gonna be able to taxi too close here with Lehends. They secure the Baron, but can they get more? Chovy, a massive stolen ultimate, but now the real one comes through. Can RNG win the fight and deny these Barons? They do manage to take down the Renekton, and now Gen.G on the run. The Everfrost, fantastic to deny the chase, and the pillar is just so good. The ult connects, but the flash out immediately afterwards. And that is the ulti from Breathe as well, and now Gen.G feeling like they have an opportunity. That was the biggest deterrent here for Ruler.
Watch Ruler, watch Ruler. He has double summoners available. Gale Force is up as well, fully loaded.
This is 4 versus 5, and they are just chasing them down. They have the Moonlight Vigil. Can he get rid of Xiaohu? Yes, he can. And now they're not wanting to stop Gen.G. Want to take an inhibitor turret. Ruler is a raid boss.
He certainly is. Fully stacked Bloodthirster shield. He hits another one.
The pillar just massive there. They take the inhibitor turret, and the rest of RNG looking to now collapse. It's 4 versus 4, but Ruler has full health and a Bloodthirster. They take the inhibitor, and Doran is now respawned. Are they just continuing to push? What is this?
5v4, 15 seconds left on Xiaohu. 1 minion wave to work with. Ming.
Oh, they managed to stun him up. Ming's just going to be taken down. Way up towards the top side, though. He does have the Nature's Grasp, and Lehends just explodes. Breathe. Trades it. Whatever. They've done it. Gen.G just going to take down the Nexus turrets, and we are going to a tiebreaker. Wei's going to go down. Xiaohu, can you do the impossible? The answer is no. It's a triple kill for Chovy. 6-0-1, and the Nexus falls. Whoa, that was really close until it just erupted in favor of Gen.G.
Holy, that is a spicy setup to our tiebreaker.
Gen.G take a well-deserved bow before refreshing themselves and getting ready for another one. It is round 3. We get the best of 3 between Gen.G and RNG.
Ooh, we said this was building up as an AD carry ego group, and Ruler showed up huge in a draft where RNG are completely drafted to focus bottom side and blow it up. Wei, Maokai goes in way too early, gives up the early first blood, and from then on, Ruler never lets go. They completely dominate them. Huge stuff. From RNG side, it was Breathe versus Gen.G, basically.
And he did super well.
He made it close.
Yeah, exactly right. I think Doran really was struggling up there towards the top side. We make the handbag joke quite a lot over in the LCK, and it was a handbag example for the Renekton, unfortunately. Next time around, hoping to see a little bit better from Doran, but playing through Breathe certainly seems like a great avenue. And if Wei, I mean, he doesn't have games like this all that often. Certainly didn't the last time these two teams faced.
Yeah, that was definitely a rough one. Very costly mistake. They're going to want that one back. But it's also one that in review they're going to point to and say, we can be fine in this rematch.
Yeah,
this
let's not do that.
Let's just not do that. See what happens.
It is easy to identify where things went wrong. But when we return, it is the final clash. RNG and Gen.G are going to face off one last time to decide who gets the first seed. And we'll see you back here in just a few.
Don't ever say it's over.